Hey guys, podcast episode, and I've got a fantastic guest for you, Dr. Dave Pennington. He's going to share with us insights into strategic problem solving, and he spent the last 35 years managing and leading organizations. He's got some great experience, and we'll talk about strategic scaling, building a dream team, and so much more. And I'm happy to welcome Dave to the show. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you for the invite. I'm delighted to be with you today.
Yeah. You founded Penn Coaching and Consulting, and you're the CEO. And I love this. I love hearing successful individuals, their stories to get inspired, motivated, and prime myself for the conversation that is to come.
Well, good. I'm excited to be with you today. I'm looking forward to just kind of getting to know each other and conversing.
Yeah. So how did you get started in what you're doing?
I have about 35 plus years of leadership management experience, and so a little over 8 years ago, I kind of moved. I was working with another coaching company where I kind of went through some training, and I was part of their team, and just decided I really kind of wanted to do my own thing. It was less restrictive, income was better, and thought I would have more freedom to do really kind of what I wanted to do. So I shifted and started Penn Coaching and Consulting, and been doing it a little over 8 years now. And I'm really excited. I think my passion really is all about helping leaders grow. And I found this, I call it the pebble in the pond concept. When you throw a pebble in a pond, there's a ripple effect. And what I've discovered is if I can impact the leader, then by impacting the leader's life, the leader impacts everyone in that organization. And so that really excites me and I've done it all my life, just developing leaders, helping them grow, become better leaders. And that really, it changes the game for most companies.
Yeah, and I really love that. And so we'll kind of talk about, leadership and challenges in leadership. So first thing is this journey to leadership, and share kind of a pivotal moment in your journey that shaped your approach to leadership and business management.
Well, I think for me, it's really all about investing in others. Probably all of us at somewhere along the line have had someone invest in us, help us to make some pivotal decisions, provide some guidance or wisdom just from experience. And I know I have a few of those people in my life. Most of them are no longer living. I'm getting older, so they've passed on. And so I'm at a stage, kind of beginning what I would call my legacy years, where I really just want to do for others what has been done for me. Where I can lean in. I always tell people, look, I don't know everything, but I can tell you some things not to do because I tried that and it didn't work. You know, um, but I want to help leaders really grow. If you think about most organizations, and I see this with small to mid-sized business owners, which I talk to all the time. When I talk to them, they'll talk a little bit about their clients. They have some goofy clients. They might talk a little bit about their employees, some challenging employees. Ultimately, when I lift the hood and kick the tires, almost always it comes back to not everybody else, but issues that the leader areas that he needs to grow in. And so leadership is just so critical for anyone who's running an organization or leading an organization.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And leadership is kind of it's one of these topics that it's hard to, because it's very abstract, and there's principles and tenets and there's strategies, ultimately to become a leader. So this next question is, especially with your leadership philosophy, how has your philosophy evolved, especially in today's rapidly changing business environment?
Actually, I think it is deepened even more than evolved in the sense that if you think about it, as a leader, you have time. That's probably your most valuable commodity. Okay, you can't get any more time, no matter who you are, no matter how much you earn, no matter what you do. We all have the same amount of time. Um, then you have your money, and leaders, hold on to money, and rightfully so because it costs money to run organizations. And then you have your people, the people that work for you. And if you think about it, you're outside of your time, your most valuable commodity is not your money, but it's your people. If you
Yeah.
have the right people, you can always get more money. But what
Uh,
I find is often leaders don't necessarily really value and appreciate the people that really make everything happen.
Yeah.
And from an employee standpoint, often you don't feel valued. And what I mean by that is it feels like it's all about the company. You're helping the company to succeed, but no one's really helping you to succeed. And if you think about it, it's illogical because if you don't succeed, then the company can't succeed. So I just think it's so important for leaders to really just sense the value of the people that work for them and kind of lean in and help those people grow and develop and then ultimately retain them, which is also a challenge in our day.
Yeah, it's really challenging because especially in today's environment, it's all about profits and it's what you're saying is so important and it seems like when you turn on the news or just hear about Bloomberg and all these companies, you always hear about the profits over the people, which is my next question is, this whole era, the younger generation, they're starting to see changes and they're starting to see that they can create more value by working for themselves or creating their own businesses as opposed to working for corporations. So how does leadership evolve in this place where people are opting out of the system and kind of creating values in their own ways?
I'm for people opting out if that's really what they choose to do. Sometimes they don't always realize what they're getting into because working for an organization is very different than building an organization. I'll give you an example. I've had several clients, but one client I had was a former corporate guy. He did really well in corporate, really pretty successful. He took an early buyout and he bought a printer franchise. Okay. And when I was working with him, he was really frustrated. I mean, he was just spread very thin. And and he says, I don't get this. I just don't get this. When I was in corporate, I killed it. I mean, I just succeeded. I did every, and I said, well, what you don't realize is this. When you were in corporate, if you had a people problem, what do you do? Well, you sent them to HR. It was HR's problem. And if you had something in terms of maybe sales or an issue there or things or deliverables, you sent them to the sales department or the deliverable department. I said, when you were in corporate, you had all these people supporting you and helping you succeed at your job. Now, what you need to realize as a small business owner, you know what? You are HR. And by the way, your marketing and your sales and your deliverables, I mean, you do everything if you really are going to run your company. And it was kind of like one of those aha moments where you just didn't recognize that, running or building your own company is very different from working for a company. And one thing is right for one person, it might be right for a different person to do something differently.
Yeah, I love that. I love that example. It hits to the heart of just the differences between, working for a company versus working on or in your company. These times bring a lot of challenges in leadership and it comes with its own set of challenges, especially through different growth phases. So kind of share challenging moments or projects in your career, how you navigated it, and the lessons learned from that.
Well, I think we've all had some challenging times. I mean, some of it is just really understanding what you're facing. Like if you come into an organization, particularly if it's an organization that's been struggling and now you're the new CEO or you're the new leader, one of the things is just really getting clarity about what's the problem. What are you doing well? What are you not doing as well? Where do you need to shore some things up? Where do you have the right people? Maybe where do you have the wrong people? So that clarity, I always say it's difficult to take action if you don't have clarity.
Uh,
And that judgment is something that you learn over time and you get more discernment and you're able to be more astute. And all that is very, very helpful because often it's really just understanding what you're really dealing with first before you can ever begin to take action. And I can look back over my career a number of times where I would come into an organization and just that ability to kind of pause. The tendency is you want to just take action. Well, if you take action and you don't know what you're doing or where you're going, it usually doesn't work out well. But just to pause and really to reflect and to think about, okay, what is working, what isn't working, what really needs to be done, what's holding things back, all that becomes very, very key to then being able to take action and move forward and help the company move forward.
yeah, so well said. For a lot of the audience, they're doctors, lawyers, accountants, they want to be a small business owner, they want to be entrepreneurs. What advice would you give to them who are passionate about building and scaling their businesses, but they might be facing, obstacles, uncertainties, and this uncertain climate?
Sure. It's interesting. I've had some doctors as clients. Here's what I find about doctors. All right, very smart people, uh, very well schooled. They know medicine really well, but often they don't really know anything about running a business. And I've actually had it where the man was the doctor and his wife was the office manager, and I've had it where the wife was the doctor and her husband was the office manager. Neither one which work very well, because having your spouse as an office manager, I'm not saying it will never work, but it's probably not the best choice because it's just too close. And what happens is there creates tension, extra tension within the office because the office manager is married to the doctor. And so it just compounds the challenges that can be there. But
Yeah.
I think what I do with business owner, and for me, it doesn't really matter what vertical, what industry they're in. I always start with the leader. The reason I start with a leader is because each of us have kind of, I'll call it our zone of genius. We have something that we do really well and we like doing. And I have some assessments that I use, and I really try to help the leader get an understanding of where does he or she fit within the organization, where can he or she actually insert himself or herself into the organization to get the highest return of investment of their time and their talents and their energy. I'll give you an example. I had a friend of mine who owned a computer company, kind of a service company. He had about half dozen employees or so. When I first started talking to him, I said, well, tell me a little about your business and things. I said, you kind of have business development or sales, and you have operations. Which one are you? He says, oh, I'm sales, without any question. I said, well, tell me about it. He said, look, I'm not trying to brag. He says, but if I get before people, I close like 80% of everybody I talk to. And I said, wow, 80% close ratio. I'm impressed. That's really high. That's good. I said, what about the operations side? He said, nah, not my thing. He says, I'm terrible. I stink at it. I'm horrible. So I said, all right, be honest with me right now in your company. What amount of time, energy, and focus are you giving towards sales versus operational? To my surprise, he came back and said he was 85% operational and only 15% sales. And I said, wow, you kill it in sales and you hate operational and you're doing 85% operational. And I just paused and I said, well, how's that working for you? Literally, his head dropped. He says, it's not. Right now, I hate my life. Every day getting up is about all I can do. I'm struggling to keep my head above water. And he just went on and on and on. And I said, well, listen, what would happen if we could find you someone who could run the operational side? Not all of it, but at least 80% of it. You'll probably still have to do 20% because you're the owner, but you can handle that. We got you out of operations and back into sales. I said, what would that do for your business? He paused and he kind of lit up like a Christmas tree. I mean, he said, if I did that, he said, I'd double my business in 18 months. And long story made short, that's what happened. He got an operational guy, he got out of operations, he got into sales, and he got into some government contracts, and his company just took off. Okay, so there was a perfect example of someone who was not really in the right role. So I start with a leader, have the leader get in the right role, and then from there, help him build what I call a complementary dream team. And what I usually tell folks is this, look, believe it or not, there are actually people that love doing what you hate doing, and they're really good at it. And you need those people on your team. And as you begin to get those people and you begin to develop those people and retain those people, the whole company just absolutely booms. It just takes off. So there's a perfect example of really a common problem I bump into all the time. That's really not that hard to solve, but it's hard to see it when you're kind of in the company, and it's hard to see it about yourself because we're just too close to everything.
Yeah, so well said. And this idea of because I'm a physician myself, I know how doctors think, and sometimes it's hard to get through to them. And I love this idea where it's building a complementary dream team. And so you talk about this idea of there's a great book, I think it was Good to Great, talking about keeping the right players on the bus.
Yeah, it is getting you on the bus and then getting you on the right seat in the bus. Okay. Both are important. Okay. And And really, here's what, my secret sauce, if you would. I've just been in leadership roles where I've had to hire teams and develop those teams and then retain those teams. Often when we start to hire someone, a lot of times we're not even sure the next person we need to hire. And part of that is, once again, because the leader's not in the right place. Like if you're a physician, I mean, ideally, you really love practicing medicine, caring for your patients. Now, probably what you don't love is all the paperwork and all the red tape and all the scheduling and all the other kind of things that come along with that. But there are people who actually do love that. And so if you can just kind of stay in your lane, maybe is a good way of putting it, and then find those people that can support you, who will really service your patients at a very high level and connect with them and really resonate with them. What happens is, a doctor, you just need to practice medicine and do a good job at practicing medicine. So the idea is, you want to be very clear about who you need on your team, who is going to complement you and help you develop your practice and grow your office and your footprint in your city, that kind of thing. And that sounds easy, but it's more than just talent and skill. It can include culture fit, because most doctors' offices are kind of small and there's an intimacy there. And if you get someone who doesn't quite fit your culture, it can upset the apple cart pretty quickly. But then once you hire them, I think it's super important to also do a good job onboarding them. Most of the time, we don't do much with onboarding. We kind of explain what the job is. They have a title and a job description, and we just hope that they figure it out. Now, sometimes they do, but often it'll take them 3 months, 6 months, a year to really understand what do you have to do in that job to be really successful. When we can solve a lot of that as we onboard them well. The third area I work in is really encouraging leaders to develop their people. We assume that people who come on our team are just going to automatically develop themselves. Doesn't usually happen that way. You have to lean in, understand the people that work for you. What is their aptitude? What are their aspirations? What do they want out of life? What are they looking for? And as you understand that, sometimes you'll hire someone for a position here, and you really realize, what, that person fits better over here. And it's just on the right bus, but not in the right seat. And really what you want to do is you want to make it a win-win. And what I mean by that is, it's a win for your employee and it's a win for you, so that you both are winning. And what happens when you both win, then they're going to be happy and fulfilled. And you really want to help them grow to their highest potential for your organization. And then the last one is retention. When you get someone like that, you really want to keep them. And most of the time, we think people leave because of money. If we just pay them more money, they would stay. That's not usually the case. They leave because they don't feel valued, they don't feel appreciated, there's no opportunity for growth, or frankly, most of the time, it's poor management. And if we will solve those problems, you will have people that will stay with you longer, and you will be more successful as a result of that. In fact, it ought to be, if they have to leave you, there comes that day where they come to you and they say, I knew this day would probably come. I hated that it's finally come. You have invested in me so much. You have helped me to grow and develop. I'm so thankful for all the things that you've contributed in my life, but I have this opportunity that I just don't feel like I can pass up. And that may happen, but it ought to be hard for them to leave. And frankly, when they do leave, most of the time, they're going to send you people to replace them, and quality people, because they just appreciate so much how you have invested in their lives. Now, think about the places you've worked, whether it's corporate or whatever. Most of the time, what I just described never happens. And it's sad, because it could happen in almost every organization. Really, I think in every organization, if the leader just caught that vision.
What you're describing is this typical, the corporate environment. And, I love this idea of, especially the building the dream team, that's so key for all the audience out there. So, we have a couple of minutes left. If you want to, what I have a question is, you have a strategic scaling framework, and it's helped businesses. Give us an insight into how it transforms a company's approach to hiring, onboarding, and retaining employees.
Yeah, what I really love to do is actually what I call it insert into a company. really it's a process. I'm very process oriented, systematic in the way I approach things, where I really take the leader through this process, help him or her learn how to do what I just described. And, or it can be the office manager. If you're the physician, maybe you have an office manager that, I would work with. And the idea is teach them not just these concepts, but how to actually utilize the concepts within the practice. And the way I usually word it is, look, I'm not trying to help you catch a fish. I'm trying to teach you how to fish so that you can then wash, rinse, and repeat this process over and over again as you scale and as you grow. These skills and this mindset and this kind of almost really philosophy of how to build a team and develop that team and retain it, you actually can take throughout your whole practice, and it just makes everything run so much more smoothly, and you wind up being more successful and more productive, and everybody's happy. And that's really, to me, the exciting part of it.
How can people contact you and find out more about the work that you do and reach out to you?
Sure, there's probably two ways that they could look at my website. It's Penn Coaching, PENN coaching.com. So there's a lot of information there they can find out about me. Or if they just want to email me, my email address is dave@penncoaching.com. So I'm pretty easy to get up with. I love to meet with people and just kind of get to know them, understand a little bit about their challenges, and then just share a little bit about what I'm doing. It doesn't match up for everybody, but for ones that it does match up with, it winds up being a fun journey and a very fruitful and successful journey as they just learn these concepts and actually implement them within their practice or within their business.
Yeah, for all the audience out there, let's thank Dave for coming on and talking about this, the talking about leadership. And then what I really enjoyed was talking about how to build a dream team, the right bus and the right seats. Be sure to give Dave a follow on all his social media. And with that, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.